Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 470 of the DrunkNerds podcast. As always, I'm Tyler, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Oh boy. I'll tell you what, man, halfway through our lists as of this recording and stuff, yeah, it's fairly fun, but now
Mm-hmm.
I'm even more excited to see what we're going to finish off with.
Yes, so in case you missed it, um, we are doing our top 10 games of 2021. This is part two. Part one released episode 469, released last week. So go check it out. It's been a week for you guys, but it's been a few minutes for us. Um, but yeah, so just real fast, we do this every year. We do a top 10 list. We don't know the list. We don't know each other's list until we say them here live for you guys. So we're learning as we go. If you don't want to be spoiled for the previous, we were done 10 through 6. We're about to do 5 through 1 and our honorable mentions. If you don't want to be spoiled, stop now because I'm going to recap our lists. So to recap for you guys from last week, Gables 10 through 6 so far. Number 10, Astro's Playroom. Number 9, Cyber Shadows. Number 8, Bugs Next. Number 7, Pokemon BDSM. Number 6, Metroid Dread. Number my list so far. Number 10, House of Ashes. Number 9, Deathloop. Number 8, Halo Infinite. Number 7, Dodgeball Academia. And number 6, Death's Door. So now we are about to move on. What we're gonna do is 5 and 4 each.
Hmm.
We'll go back and forth, and then we're gonna do honorable mentions, and then we'll do 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, Gables. Let's move on here then real fast. Not real fast. Sorry, here. I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm typing and all that. Gables, what is your number 5 game of 2021?
All right, so number 5 is going to be New Pokemon Snap. Now, New Pokemon Snap,
Ooh.
this game I felt was even more entertaining than Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, only because, for one, it was a concept and a sequel to a
Sounds less
game.
painful than BDSM.
Well, obviously, yes, it's less painful, but at the same point,
Gables knows so well. Obviously, it's less painful.
but but anyway, in regards to new Pokemon Snap, I mean, it's a sequel to a game I played on the 64. A number of years ago at this point. Hell, I did a replay through that game at least a couple of years ago. I think 2018, 2019 when it came out on the Wii U. But the thing about new Pokemon Snap is it was more of a good thing, but there was definitely a lot of good improvements in regards to this game, because you had a upload feature for the online, so you get to check out a lot of different pictures from different people from around the world, which is so hilarious because you have people like doing all the various like Instagram sort of mixture ups and stuff and do all the various like oh god, edits and stuff, like putting little hearts inside of one things. I remember uploading a couple of pictures and stuff like that I had taken, like say like Pokemon, like say like with Gengar and Emolga and like all this other stuff. It was hilarious because I had one picture with my Gengar, right, and it's like he was popping out of this like this dark this dimensional like a portal, right, and it's like his little head was like sticking out, and I took a picture just right there, and I just did like a little bit of like button eyes and stuff on him, a little heart and stuff. Like I had this little text that said, "Hey there," just like a whole bunch of different types of things you could do in regards to like photo editing and stuff. You get your favorite Pokemon posted on there. You get a whole bunch of different hearts and different types of coverage and stuff. It's sort of like the Pokemon equivalent of Instagram for their online stuff,
Sounds
because
like
all the
if
filters.
they should truly make a new Pokemon Snap, but Pokemon Snap BDSM, and it could be like we can do like an OnlyFans for Pokemon. Saying Nintendo, call me. Go on, sorry.
All right, so I did like all the different areas in this game. I mean, not just the lab itself, because well, you not just the lab in and of itself, which you know what was fairly entertaining going through it a couple of times, but you can go through different areas of the forest, the ocean, like a volcano, caves, and all this other stuff. But the fun part about this game, you could literally go through a different area like 3 or 4 times and you would still be able to find different Pokemon that are hidden between like different like portions. Or if you set off a certain type of scenario or a certain type of like event, you could go to a different portion of this area and photograph different rare Pokemon. And so it was almost like a sense of wonder where you would go to a new area, photograph a bunch of different Pokemon to begin with, get rated and stuff by the professor and stuff, and seeing what what were great pictures, what were not, for this and that, But it was fun discovering how you would be able to not just like evolve a certain Pokemon, but like capture a certain Pokemon in like specific ways, like say like they're surprised or they're happy or they're eating or whatsoever, or you just catch one in the middle of like popping out of a hole or something out of the ground or some shit like that. It's like fun moments and stuff like you would actually take pictures of like animals in the wild like doing specific things or something like that. It had that sort of like a nature sort of feel in that regards, but I thought it was highly addicting to go through the area multiple times using a bunch of different types of equipment, for like not just smoke balls, but like just bait and stuff, and like particular other types of like tools and help elevate the quality of the pictures and stuff that you would go through and take, and then filling up your Pokedex with all sorts of different creatures, and then being rated like between 1 to 4 stars. Like you would actually have to go forth and have different photos of like a particular Pokemon. It's not just enough just to photograph a Pokemon, but you have to make sure you have all the different stars of one Pokemon too. So you have to have a 1-star picture, 2, 3, 4 respectively. I thought that was a bit much because for
Mm-hmm.
one thing, it's like I liked how simplistic it was back in the day, where it was judged upon a specific rating and stuff like that. Like, okay, this photo right here, this time around, it's only gonna be a 1,000 because the last one you did was like about 3,000 because of this, and that. While that retains some bit of it, more or less you're filling up even more to try to. I think it's more or less sort of padding for the game because you are definitely going to the areas multiple times, discovering different things each time. But I think it was sort of like an artificial inflation to sort of make the game feel longer than what it should have been. But at the same time, for the vast amount of time, the vast amount of like things that I did throughout that game was photographs of my favorite Pokemon, photographed a whole bunch of legendary Pokemon, and like all these crystal illuminated creatures as well. And I loved how it was like a different take of the Pokemon games, how we initially would be getting them, like the traditional turn-based ones, and this being the sequel to one that came out in the N64, and then having all what was the natural evolution of that, a Pokemon Snap in and of itself, and then getting what we got for there. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was a lot better than the original Pokemon Snap in a lot of ways. While not as basic in regards to like say how certain Pokemon will evolve if you do this or that, or like to specific secrets like collecting all different things in order to lead to a different area or different things, maybe not being so simple as it is. But I've had a lot of fun just discovering what I could additionally do in the game, filtering a lot of different photos that I had gotten so they would make it look extremely weird or happy or crazy looking. It definitely left a lot to be. It definitely added a lot what initially was the original Pokemon Snap. And I really would love to play another game inside of this particular sub series and stuff for the Pokemon games in the future.
Very cool, Gables.
All
All
right.
right. I think it's interesting now, Gables. You've said 6 of yours. I'm about to say my sixth of ours.
Yep.
No games in common yet.
No games in
So,
common. Wow.
yeah. So, Gables, this is when it started getting really hard for me.
Yeah.
I said there was that gap in last week's episode where like there was like that clear, all right, here's where it starts, like where the games start to separate for me. And this is where it really hit. And this is the first one that really, really hurt me
Okay.
to put at number 5. It's it devastates me to do it. Number 5, another game I played on Game Pass. It's a game I haven't shut up about since fucking January. Haven. I cannot express how much this game meant to me
Hmm.
in so many ways, as a game, a soundtrack,
Right.
the danger that made the soundtrack for this phenomenal. I
Right.
still
Right.
listen to this soundtrack almost every week when I put the show notes together. This this soundtrack is playing. I was literally listening to the soundtrack while making this list, and before you hopped on Skype,
Hmm.
I was listening to this like
It's got a fantastic soundtrack. Yes.
I fucking adore it. But this game hit me on so many different levels too, where like personally, where like it hit me like came out I think mid January. I played it at the end of January. And it came out on Game Pass,
Right.
and I remember seeing the trailers. I'm like, okay, looks interesting. I was like, and I was at that got like I talked about a couple weeks ago, where like, usually like this time of year I get into like that funk of like it's winter, it's kind of shitty. They're like we just kind of made it through this marathon of gaming. It's a new year. It's like we're resetting, and it's like there's not really, not really in a gaming mood, but it's like also like I barely, like I said, I barely touched. At this point, I barely touched games for months. You're in that, like I said, that wintertime blues. I'm working two fucking jobs. I'm exhausted. It's winter. It's cold out. I barely have any time, and I finally took a Saturday off from my second job uh, to like just relax because I was so burnt out, and I was just like, I need to play. I want to just play some games or something. And this was the first one I popped in, and I beat it in one sitting.
Hmm.
It took like 8 or 9 hours. I just could
Wow.
not stop. Like I said, I love the art style. I love the music. Like the opening music video, I was like, okay, this is gonna be like you have my attention right now. But just like when you introduced to K and U, um, two of the best written characters I've ever played in a game. Before were like they're space like kind of like you're like it's like sci-fi future where these two are like in the future they're like they force people to marry other people. You're like tied to these people, but they were in love with each other, and then they crash landed on this island on this planet, and it's divided up in the areas, and but there's like this I can't remember what it's called, but there's the like what is that shit called? They get like clean up around the world. But anyways, you got to
Oh,
clean the shit up around the world, um, and you're trying to like make this place livable. You're finding like just finding apple dews and all these different like
yep.
things like cooking like recipes you got to make.
Food,
But just
spices,
like
recipes. Yes.
yeah, but like I just loved like K and U, like it felt like it's obviously like sci-fi. It's whatever. It's a video game, but like it felt like the most real relationship I've ever seen written in a game. Where
Right.
like the little tiny combos they would have in these games were like felt like real conversations that I've had and I know other people have had in relationships
Right.
before, past, present, whatever. Of like these feel like real, honest to god relationships, and it's not like and there's like some sex jokes here and there, but it's not overly sexual or anything like that. Uh, the arguments felt real. In this whole fantastical plan, I just loved how well they go in a game where you only have two characters. It's really important you nail those two characters, and they did it. I loved the combat. Like I thought it was a really cool, unique combat where it's like live action turn based. There's a rhythm to it, but then like there's four different things you can do. Like you can heal, you can block, you can attack. I can't remember the fourth one, but it's all like you got to control both characters at
Purify.
the same time. Purify. Thank you. Yeah, you got like when you knock out the enemies, you got to purify them. Thank you, Gables. Um, and I love that. Like it's very simplistic, but I would love a game to really take that and run with that because I think that's a really cool, fun combat. Like I love like Child of Light had a really cool like live action like like there's like a rhythm to it, but like it's ongoing. It's not like you can just sit there and sit in the menus forever and think of a strategy. Like you gotta go, you know. Um, and like they had a really cool, but it's kind of simplistic. I wish someone else would have done more with that. And that felt like 2021's version of Child of Light in its own way. I loved it. Like it's a little simplistic. Like I would say like that was like my one complaint, whereas like I just did a bunch of grinding in the beginning, and then I realized it's totally unnecessary. You can max out everything by doing very little grinding and just progressing through the game. And I kind of got a little burnt on that throughout the game. But I just loved like exploring all these like all the worlds, finding all these side things you can do, like find just the side conversations you can have, the conversations they would have while you're just hovering around the areas, like just finding like just picking the fucking apple dudes, listening to the soundtrack, cooking, like going back to the ship, ending your day, and like having these conversations, and like you can actually what was cool is like you can pick uh, your response back to them. and but you're playing as both of them, and so you can kind of in a way control the conversation, and I loved it. Like it was, I love this game so fucking much. It just hit me at the perfect time too, where like I said, I was in that funk, and it just kind of like knocked me out of that funk, and I was just like kind of the game that got me like back into playing some games this year. Because right after that, that's when I started like playing like there's that Gears 5 Hive Buster, and I just like as soon as I beat that, I was just like back in the like dip my toes back in the gaming. But like my God, this game is phenomenal. Game Bakers, I believe, who made it. Danger did the soundtrack. Um, man, I keep saying it's a fantastic game. I cannot. I don't. I wish there was a very simple way for me to sum up how great this game was to me, and I just can't find the words. But
Hmm.
there's no quick way for me to summarize it. Um, I could spend 20 minutes talking about it, but I'm not going to do that because we got more things to cover. But oh, that one hurt putting it at number 5 because I thought it would have been 3-4 months ago. I would have thought it would have been much higher, but alas, it was not. But that is my number 5. Haven Gables. What is your number 4?
Halo Infinite.
Okay, fine. It's our first game we have in common. Halo Infinite.
All right,
All right, Gables.
let me tell you something, man. It's like the Halo franchise for me. It's like I started it fairly late. Started with Halo 2, went through the original Halo and Halo 2 on 360 when I first had a 360. Went through Halo 3 when that came out. But 4, 5, and like even like ODST and Reach to a certain extent, I didn't really play too much of until after the fact. I think Reach was the last one I played on 360 before I ended up getting rid of it. But long story short, playing through all the Halo games back around 2020, try to set me up to Halo Infinite before it was delayed and stuff. I mean, I had a good set and knowledge and feel of how those games progressed and stuff. And what I enjoyed most about Halo Infinite, there was definitely familiarity with it, but at the same time, it felt like a natural evolution of like the Halo campaigns in and of itself. And the reason why it's so high up the list, number 4 and stuff, and I'm just going forth and separating it from the multiplayer aspect of it because I didn't really like playing too much of the multiplayer. I loved the campaign portion of this game because you were able to go forth and freely explore. Yeah, it was definitely fairly inspired by Breath of the Wild in more ways than one. But I did love going through and exploring everything with grapple hooking everywhere. I mean, it gives you the option. You could travel inside main vehicles, the warthogs, the banshees, the freaking wasps, and like all the other types of vehicles and stuff. Or you can go through and just use grapple hook, a la like Just Cause and stuff like that. Like Just Cause 2, would just go and just spring yourself across and travel all sorts of various places. That was the most fun I think I've had just openly exploring a world because I was literally grapple hooking me up to like up cliffs and up this thing. It's like, okay, you know what? Maybe I can hook onto there. And all of a sudden I see the icon. Okay, let's go ahead and just shoot myself up through momentum. And that's how I found like a whole bunch of various crap. I mean, not only just that, but finding the random skulls that were hidden inside, especially the first one by accident. I mean, that was a bizarre thing to where I was literally being attacked by an enemy. The enemy pushed me across inside the side next to a wall, and the damn thing, the side of the wall, I thought I was going to get killed, right? And so I get lifted up to this spot, and all of a sudden I see a skull. Like, what? That's how I'm going to find my first skull. Now, granted, eventually I would love to replay this game and stuff and collect all the different skulls and do all that stuff. But the thing about it is, like, I loved clearing the FOBs. I loved going through and freeing all the different the military soldiers and stuff like that in their camps and stuff. I loved collecting a lot of the codex. But I'll tell you what, some of the main draws was taking out a lot of the most wanted list up on the different territories and exploring the different type of territories, then exploring a lot of the forerunner like ring artifacts and stuff, and then discovering all this stuff with like the endless and all this other shit. I'll tell you what, man, I said that was so much fun doing that stuff, exploring that and enjoying the world that this, what the whole like oh god, not the Delta Ring, but like what was it called again? Like I'm trying to think of it right
Oh,
now.
Beta Halo.
The Beta Halo, the
Yeah.
Zeta. the
Zeta
Zeta
Halo. God,
Halo.
I always do that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Zeta Halo. Yes, going through and like exploring a lot of the Zeta Halo and like seeing all the different wildlife coming through and seeing all the interactions between the grunts, the brutes, and like the elites and stuff like that. Dude, there were so many fun moments, especially when you had to take out a lot of the various like the radio points and stuff to where you have the one grunt just literally like explaining, oh, okay, this such and such thing, we broke his will and stuff like that, and now he read a lot of you guys out, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth, until finally it's like after the game's like, you know what? You just see just sobbing inside of his microphone. It's like, oh yeah, it could be worse. It's like, well, besides the besides the elites that are dead, besides that F Esharab and stuff is dead, and like our main person right there's dead, like all this and that. It's like, oh yeah, not just that though, but the Easter eggs that are inside this game too. Like I had to go forth and see this on YouTube, but there's literally an area that you can explore, right? Inside the main map. It's really hidden off, but once you go into it and stuff, there's this cave where you have a whole bunch of grunts worshiping this gigantic fucking sandwich. And it's like
Huh.
a fucking sandwich, dude. It's not like a half-ass thing too. It's like a standard sort of like a ham sandwich. And it's like you have two like pieces of bread, you have the salad, you have the fucking tomatoes, and you have the fucking things of cheddar cheese. And it's like right in the center of the thing. And there's even callbacks to say like a grunt that asks you not to interrupt him because he's playing Halo 2 on Legendary.
That's awesome.
And then you have the aspects of a friendly grunt and all that other stuff that won't attack you or do something like that shit. But it was literally the moments in this game, the unexpected moments that I love the most about it. I mean, sure, the campaign stuff, I mean, yeah, give or take, a lot of the side stuff that you did was definitely better than some of the main missions in this game, but I did like the weapon. I liked the aspect of what she is. I did like going through and seeing the preparation in regards to the eventual DLC that's going to be coming after that. I mean, taking out like the pretty much the main enemy in that regards that had been one of your main enemies since like I think Halo 4, in that regards, and try to tie that one up into a loop. But I did like a lot of the backstory stuff, but it didn't really tell you a lot in terms of what happened in between of like Halo 5 up until Halo Infinite. You were just tossed in the center of this thing, and it's like right after you had lost a major battle against Atriox and stuff like that, one of the main antagonists of like Halo War 2 and stuff like that, the Banish and all this other stuff. But man, taking out all the banished soldiers, like exploring the different like terrains, experimenting with what you could grapple hook off to and what you could slingshot off to, and not to mention encountering like just figuring out where a lot of these different skulls are like hidden was so fucking awesome. There was literally one point where had cleared this main structure near this main story mission, right? And I decided, okay, I'm gonna grapple all the way up to the top of this main structure. I want to get to the highest point of it. And then I come across a stage. I come across a stage that was playing music, and I go up to it, and then I see a skull. I go at the skull, and then I examine everything. It's like, you could play this guitar. You can go
Huh.
strum, strum, strum. And it's basically like a mock band. It has all these made up like many names of the developers and this and that, and you have this different skull and this and that. It was awesome. It was literally something that you would have never thought about unless you actually took the extra mile to explore up it. But there's so many different types of skulls that are hidden through the main missions. I didn't like some of that because I missed one out of like the four that are hidden in between the main missions, and that kind of pissed me off because I couldn't collect and like complete
Yeah.
that because I liked doing that inside the past Halo games, getting the skulls, especially Halo 3. But okay, let's see. The skull that I remember getting, the like where the dialogue and stuff, the rare dialogue gets played often and stuff. It's like I think it's called "I Wish I Was Your Daddy" or something like that shit. But yeah, like hearing a bunch of like the fucking grunts, the rare dialogues, and a lot of the hilarious stuff that came from that skull in and of itself was so fucking awesome. I thought it was so awesome because they would literally like, oh no, it's the demon again. It's like, oh no. Oh my gosh. But yeah, Halo Infinite is my number 4 game of the year is because the moments in general. It was
Yeah.
awesome that I maxed every ability. It was awesome that I maxed out and cleared out everything. It made me want to play this explorable open world Halo game. Zeta Halo was interesting enough to where it lures you into a sense of security. It's like, okay, this is familiar. This is Halo. You're facing off against the same type of enemies, regardless of what they're named. You still have like a security bots that pay reference to like say like a 343 Guilty Spark and some shit from the original Halo games. It goes into referencing past Halo games. There's different tie-ins with the Forerunners and stuff and the Endless and all this other shit that'll go into the next particular portion. But it was, on my honest opinion, probably one of the best experiences I've played in the Halo series. So yeah.
All right, it was very nice. Well, moving on here to my number 4. I gotta do my best Michael Huber from Easy Allies impression here. Resident Evil Village. That's not very good. That was a very bad impression. I'm sorry, Michael. But anyways, I can't. I like he just like I can't. He does so well. Anyways, this game blew me away. I could not believe how great this game was. Like when I first saw it, and you remember the rumors and the leaks of it, they said they were trying to do it more like go back to Resident Evil 4, and you could tell that they were going making this very Resident Evil 4 as much as possible. Um, as far as having like the merchant back, the Duke, and like going back to being in a village and all that. Like it felt like I'm like, okay, they're obviously trying to do that. But can they do it? And yes, they fucking can. Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. It's the reason I care about Resident Evil in the first place. Obviously, since the last few years with 7, 2, and 3 remakes and then all that, like I definitely care a lot more. But man, they've blew me away. We're like, this felt like the true sequel to RE4 that I have been wanting since fucking RE4. Um, yeah, I mean, and like getting like with the merchant, the characters, the series of bosses that you have, um, the different sections, like everything was so different. I loved like how entertaining and how each area felt like a whole different section. Like it felt so different from everything else. I love like like yeah, like you have the Duke. He's amazing character. He's not the merchant from Resident Evil 4, but he's a pretty damn good 2021 version of him. Bring if you're not gonna have him back, he even does like the what you buying? Like he even like makes that reference in the game. Upgrading all your weapons. I loved like I was like searching for everything to try to find more gold, find statues, find like the diamonds you need to do to combine the like into another item to make it worth more.
Mm.
I found damn near everything in that game. Like I loved all the sections in the game. Like the first section with Lady D, everybody's favorite character from the game. Like that felt very Resident Evil 2 and 3 ish, where she was just hunting you through the whole castle. That whole section was phenomenal. The second section where you go to the doll's house and it turns into like an Outlast style where you lose all your weapons and you're just kind of you can't fight back or anything like that, and you're being like haunted and chased, and it turns into a horror game, like an actual honest to god horror game, and not a semi action horror game like Resident Evil. Uh, the most one of the most terrifying moments in video gaming to me ever, when you're being chased in that area by a gigantic fucking baby, is just awful. Um, just look it up, Gables. Just it's fucking awful. The whole
Oh
it's
no, I think
so
I'll definitely play through it sooner or later.
oh my god, it's terrifying. But that whole section is once again amazing. The area when like you're in the bayou, that part each boss fight is fucking cool. Like it just oh man, it's like in a Metal Gear game, a Metal Gear Solid game where like they built these really cool group of bad guys and they pay it off with really cool boss fights.
Hmm.
Then like the factory is amazing. I'm not gonna spoil anything. The one Ethan, the character, kind of sucks, but which is I can get past that. That's fine. Um, the the worst part about this game, it's probably one of my least favorite of like these good games, all these great games on here. It's probably got the biggest downside. It doesn't break the game. It's not bad. It's still number 4 on my list, obviously, but the last like hour and a half kind of sucks, and it brings back. I don't want. It's, it's not as bad. It's not nearly as bad, but it harkens back to like RE5 6 bad. But I'm like saying, like it's a very small part of the game. It's very easy. Like I put like it's like a 15-hour game, Gables, and
Hmm.
so I'm talking like the last like hour
Right.
of that game is bad. But it's not like it doesn't play bad. It just sucks. But it doesn't. It just sucks. It's just not fun to do. But it still plays fun and it's fine. It's just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Who thought this was a good idea? I wish I could so badly talk about it more and say more about it. Gables, I think you'll still love this game. I don't want to scare people off with that. And it's not Resident Evil 6. Like it's not terrible. It's just wow, this is so much fun. I'm on this like I'm on this highest of highs, and then like what the fuck are we doing here? But it's like I said, it's an hour of a 12 to 15 hour game. But yeah, I can't. This game was phenomenal. I loved it. Um, yeah. Oh boy, that game. I really hope that this just becomes the staple of Resident Evil games because I will gladly keep coming back for more. If they just keep doing Resident Evil 4 in modern day, because I'm all in. I don't even care. I'm all in. So yeah, my number 4, Resident Evil 8. All right, Gables, we're gonna do some honorable mentions here.
Okay.
I don't know how you did your list. If you ranked them, if you just have a few, or however you did it. What are some of your honorable mentions for 2021?
All right, I think I'll name a couple of my honorable mentions because, like I said before, when I first started naming off the stuff, I did have 22 games on my list. I actually constructed a top 20 list in and of
All right,
itself.
name it off. Just do it.
But I'm gonna go forth and I'm gonna say from 20, from like the least to greatest and stuff like that. So Virtua Fighter 5's Final Showdown, I played a little bit of that. That was enough to at least put in the 20 spot. Tales of the Sojourner, which was that card game and stuff like that, that you had to do with like a bunch of dialogue stuff, talk to a bunch of different people and stuff. I thought it was fun from the gimmick it was. It wasn't enough to really interest me to go forth and finish it. Obviously, 18 is a game that I know that you spoke highly of and stuff, and that was Haven and stuff. And I did enjoy a lot about the story, a lot of the different music and everything else. But yeah, it just didn't make it to the top 10 list for me, but that's okay. But number 16 and 17 were games that I actually, during the past couple of weeks, I downloaded off of my Switch and stuff. And these are like little 3D platformers, right? They're like about $1 and $1.99 respectively, right? But they were released this
Mm.
year. Tori 3D and Tori 2. These are N64 inspired platformers, right? Made by, I think, a group of people. The gameplay is actually pretty fucking solid. And it looks like you would think for like N64 games and this and that though, but it's highly addictive and actually they are not meant to last for fairly long. I think they're like about maybe a couple of hours at most if you really want to complete them. Like say if you really want to complete them, it may take you about 3 or 4 hours, give or take, but both of these games were fairly solid. I liked them. They released at around the first one was in April and the second one was actually released in December. So those tied in well. Number 15 was a little retro inspired game called Savage Halloween, which that was a game I
Oh yeah.
enjoyed plenty of. I played through that with like the main, like the one of like the balanced characters and stuff. I played through the entire thing. I thought it was a cool retro throwback. And I also thought it was a pretty fun game in general. And it definitely was before Halloween, so it was that whole theme. Number 14 was Rain on Your Parade, which was sort of like a little spoof and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
It was one of
Yeah.
those Game Pass games and stuff that I had played, but it was pretty damn funny. And it was one of the games where I
Yeah.
had to message you about it because it had played themed to like Metal Gear
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. I thought that was funny. Yeah. It was a very chill game.
It was definitely chill. Let's see, I had Mario Golf Super Rush, which I liked the Mario Golf portion, but the single player aspect of it kind of actually fell like flat for me, especially towards the end of it, because they had a lot of good stuff going with it, but instead of like having like a lot of the cups and a lot of different things, like they could have done, like say individually, without this whole elaborate RPG esque type of golf game and stuff like that. Oof. It just led to a story that definitely fell flat towards the end. I mean, I did like some bits of the speed golf aspects of it, but it was fun for what it was. But it was during that summertime rut. It was during that summertime lull and stuff. Whether the heat was like close to about 90, like 80 to 90s and stuff right here, and I had to constantly monitor between me playing that game, and friggin' like make sure my Switch didn't fry. But let's see, for numbers 11 and 12, these are also Switch games, right? Number 12 was Kaze and the Wild Masks, which this is the platformer that was loosely inspired by Donkey Kong Country, right? And the
Okay.
platforming in this game, the look of it is fairly good. I mean, the gameplay is definitely straight out of a Donkey Kong Country game. You play as a rabbit, you collect a lot of different masks. Some stages have a bunch of different animal themed masks. Like you can actually go forth and wear one that'll make you kind of like swim like a shark, or you have another one that makes you fly like like a bird or something like that. And then you have one that's sort of like a tiger where you can do wall jumps and this and that. I thought it was fairly solid, but at the same time, it definitely could be fairly difficult. And the game in and of itself will last a while, especially if you want to go through everything and try to collect everything in that regards. Which I think that's what I ended up doing before I initially just like moved on to another game in that regards. But I thought it was fairly fun. And number 11 was the game I played early on in 2021, which I actually had a lot of fun with, was Tawaga Among Shadows. That game's been on sale a couple different times on multiple platforms like PlayStation and I think Xbox, but I'm not sure. But it's one of those twin stick sort of like almost like endless sort of like waves of enemies sort of game to where you could go forth and you can defeat a whole bunch of different enemies and stuff and upgrade a lot of your different like inventory stuff. I think I maxed out a lot of the portions of that towards the end of that, and like the different type of boss battles you get to deal with, different stages and this. It was highly addicting for what it was, and it just missed out in the top 10 because of games like Astro's Playroom being so fun, Bug Snacks actually coming out of nowhere and actually impressing me because that game came out and I literally did not think I was going to be playing that game when I saw the trailer of it. But yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
All right. Very nice, Gables. All right, cool. Well, I have a top 20 list here as well. Number 20, Boyfriend Dungeon.
Yeah,
It's a roguelite, but it's very light in the capital light, which I liked a lot about it. It's very simplistic, very fun, but it's also a dating sim where your significant others are weapons and you use them as combat and you like build relationships as you use them, and then like just out in the world you can go on dates with them and build relationships with them. Very fun. It's a very short game. It took me like 5-6 hours to beat, but it was just like a very fun, chill. Like it wasn't overly challenging. I said it was a good time. Just a good time. Number 19, Back for Blood. Um, this game would have been much higher on my list, but like I've talked a lot about my big complaints about,
yeah,
the fact that like I want to play this game solo, but playing the solo means that you can't, yeah, you don't unlock anything. You like nothing counts, none of your stats, anything counts, anything, all the cards you unlock, don't count towards the main game, which is just very frustrating. Kind of makes it pointless to do,
yeah,
which is very frustrating because I had a blast playing this game and I want to play more of it. But once after I got like a few hours into it and I realized that was the case, I'm like, oh well, and I kind of like I played some online. And it was just like I don't want to play with randos, and it's just frustrating. So it's like that was a big turnoff. I actually like the card system. I like the combat's really good and fun. When they fix that, I'll be more than happy to jump back into it. But until then, that would have been in competition for probably that 10 spot, maybe even in higher. But because of that took it all the way down to 19. Number 18, Last Stop, a game that I was super excited to play. It's a kind of like a you know in the vein of like a Telltale or like Supermassive kind of game where there's three different characters you play as, and there's like these weird fucking things going on in this town in London, and just trying to figure out the backstory, what the fuck's going on. Like and then they're all different characters dealing with different things. They're not attached anyway, and then they all it all intertwines together. But it was a really great game. That was another game I ended up, I was gonna buy anyways, but it came to Game Pass. I beat that all in one day. Game was really really good. Number 17, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I thought this game was actually like I have no real complaints about the game. It's just not for me. That was my
ah,
like that was it. Like whenever I played it, I was just like, I'm having a decent time. But like whenever I wasn't playing it, I was never like wanting to play it. I just kind of, I think I just ended up beating it just because I bought it and I just didn't, like I bought it and there is also it came out in like June or July and there's nothing else to play at that point, so that's why
Yeah, that's
I beat it.
constantly one of those games I want to. That's constantly one of a couple of games that I want to play, but at the same time, I'm waiting for a major price reduction because I
Yeah,
feel like the $70 price point at the time was too much for that type of game.
I don't think it's I think it's just I don't think the $70 price point is bad. I think it's just it's not my game is my thing. Like
Right.
I think people that love it, I understand why people love it. I think I like I said, I have no complaints about this game, other than it's just not a game for me.
Ah.
It's not a Tyler game. But I think this very much should be a Gables game.
Yep. I
Number
agree.
16 is a game I just beat just last week, The Gunk. A very
Ah.
fun game, very simplistic, fun. I love the vibes. The very chill game. Uh, I came very close to 100% the game. I just can't find one thing that I need to do. I need to find like you have to like there's like all these different things you gotta scan in the game. And there's one I'm missing, and if I find that, I get that achievement, and I get the other achievement for getting all the upgrades. But I need both. I need to find that one thing to do both things.
Wow.
So I came very close to 100%ing it. I just can't find it, and there's no like simple like guide to like look it up to figure out where that thing is to unlock it. Um, but it's it's very fun, chill. I like the story. I like the world. I like the characters in the game. Very really simple. Took like 5 hours to beat. So number 15, Forza Horizon 5. I played. I got really into this game for like a week and a half, and it was just a fucking blast. Then a Game Pass game. Uh, just it's been a long time since I've gotten to like a driving game. Maybe since like when Burnout Paradise the remaster came out. And I just man, I had a fucking blast just driving around, just doing dumb shit, doing the challenges and all that. Like it's like constantly unlocking. It's constantly seeing the numbers go up. Kept making me come back to it. Unlocking new cars. Like finding like some awesome designs people have made. Like I found like one of my cars that had a bunch of Pokemon on my car, which was awesome. I found like um, uh, I had a fucking like Paul Walker's car from Fast and Furious and the design and everything like that. It's really cool. Number 14, Kina, Bridge of Spirits. I no real complaint too much about this game. I just it's a very good first step and a first for Ember Labs. It's their first game they were made. It's a Pixar. If Pixar made a video game, this would be it. I think it's phenomenal. So it's not. It's like a $40 game. It's beautiful, beautifully made. It's like I said, it looks like Pixar made a video game.
Hmm.
I think the combat's fairly simple, but it's simplistic. But the game is incredibly hard for like no reason, and the spikes are all over the place. That really is my big complaint. Is like the game just like no, I'm humming along, and then you just get fucked up, and it's just like what the hell just happened? I didn't even make a dent. I just like kill. I went on like running through people for like an hour and a half,
I heard
and
it had
then
difficulty spikes.
yeah, there is like an easier mode you can put it on, which I ended up breaking and putting on that. But it's a I think it's a very fun and a very great. It's a very very good story. It is like I can't wait for their next game because I think that next game could be something magical and could be an all timer if they figure out like they just make some minor tweaks. If they do Kina 2, I hope they do. I think that game could be an all time great game. Number 13, another Game Pass game. Uh, it was an Xbox exclusive until just recently. The Medium. Um, Very fun, like very good horror game. I loved exploring the world. It took like place in the 90s. I can't remember where it was, uh, but it was just like going in that hotel and like exploring and learning about like the backstory of this hotel and like what the fuck is going on with it. Then being chased by a monster, being split into two different worlds or in two different dimensions and puzzle solving. Like this game was very very good, and it didn't really overstay its welcome. It's like a solid 7 8 hours. There's more to it if you want to do that, but like man, this game was it was a blast. Like I did not when that game was first announced, I did not expect to give a shit about it, but it turned out to be very good. Next up, number 12, Outriders. Um, it's Gears of War style combat with but you have some powers,
Hmm.
and then it's like um, what's the what I'm looking for? Like it's like a games as a service style, but not a game as a service, which I love because you don't have to be online. Well, you have to be online, but it doesn't have like the oh you have to be this power level to do this section. You can just like you could just plow along through it. It was great. I loved it. You could play by myself with no issues. I didn't have to like grind or anything like that. Like I just love going through the world, doing like side missions. The story is pretty bad. That's like the one big like the story kind of sucks, but I just overall had a blast with it. Yeah, it's very it was a fun like popcorn game. Just like oh I'm just having a good time with it. Like a fun action movie kind of thing where you're sitting there just having a good time and then you move on, and it was a really good game though. Highly underrated. And number 11 is a game called Unmetal. Came out a few months ago. It's basically if they made Naked Gun made a video game, Naked Gun the movie, if people remember that from like the 90s with Leslie Nielsen. Uh, but they made a video game parodying Metal Gear from the NES. And it is fucking funny as shit. I really had a great time with that game. The big pain points for that was like it's kind of too old school and punishing in a lot of ways. Where like the save, like it does have auto saves, but they're not great. Like a lot of retracing your steps, which would suck because like the jokes are awesome, but when you have to when you have to walk through that joke 30 times, it becomes irritating at that point. So it kind of kills the joke. But I love the game. It was very fun. It took me like 6-7 hours to beat. But yeah, that game was really fun. Yeah, so that was number 11. So that was our honorable mentions. Gables, let's jump now into our number 3.
All right.
Gables, give it to me. What's your number 3, buddy?
It Takes Two.
Gables.
Yes.
It's also my number 3.
Oh my god, what are the odds of that?
I don't think that's ever happened, like where we've had the same game at the same number. So
the same game, the same number, and we immediately thought, yeah, this is our number 3 of the year.
Yeah. So I guess we could just kind of both talk about it then.
Alrighty, so
go ahead.
Think about It Takes Two. Honestly, the whole experience of itself was a great ride from beginning to end. It took multiple different nights between the two of us trying to process things.
3 sittings over 3 straight Fridays.
Yeah, that's the thing. We could only do it like for a specific amount and specific portions of what we could do. I mean, 4 or 5 hours sometimes streams or something like that, where we're just chipping away at it bit by bit. I mean, here's the thing about it. The story in of itself. It was supposed to be like the whole coming together of like 2 people and stuff like that in terms of their daughter.
What was it? May and John?
Maybe. I don't.
I know. I remember the wife's name was May.
Okay.
Go
May, on. John, whatever. But the thing about it, it's like the story in and of itself throughout that whole thing. It's like the story in general. I didn't think was as strong as much, but at the same time, it was the moments between the 2 characters, the interactions between the 2 characters, the different types of puzzles that were so fun in order to try to solve and recreate and stuff. There's like maybe one section of that entire game that I did not like in terms of the puzzle stuff. I think there was one where we keep dying over and over again.
There was which area didn't you like?
I think there was the one with the space one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah, that one was like the one major one that dragged.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, that was pretty much like it was pretty much because you and I kept on we kept dying in a specific portion of the space world and stuff to where we had to start over and over, and I think we actually had a drop during that point too, if I'm not mistaken.
We might have. I think we.
It was possible, but I may be like thinking.
I know we had one drop. I don't remember where it was.
But it was going through and like solving a couple puzzles inside that space thing until eventually we got to this one area where we were like just grinding or something like that across like stars or wherever the hell it was. And I think you had to do a specific portion. I had to do a specific portion, try to time certain things correctly. And
I remember that now. Yeah,
we were getting so frustrated with that.
Yeah.
But the best parts about that game was just like the what the fuck moments, like, for example, you and I with that what the fuck moment and stuff with the vacuum and stuff where you literally
had to suck his fucking eyeballs out.
Yeah, that was fucking dark as shit.
And then we had to murder our daughter's favorite elephant, Cutie. we literally ripped his leg off, and he dragged across the ground with missing a leg.
You and I were like live streaming this thing, and we're looking at, and we're like just subconsciously like throughout the internet, just looking at each other, it's like, dude, this is like one step away of me wanting to
This
turn
is
off the game.
yeah, this is awful. Like what? Like it's some of the best. Like it just had something like what like I said the most what the fuck like there's one where you're flying the plane and then it turns into a fucking Street Fighter game where
Yeah, that pissed
I'm
me off
fucking
because
fighting
I'm
a
flying the
squirrel.
plane, and all of a sudden you're fucking doing Hadoukens to a damn squirrel. On
Yeah,
top of the
I
plane.
like I love it when like the bees are fighting you. Like they show up and they start playing the Flight of the Valkyries.
Yes.
When the bees show up.
Oh my god, the references are galore and stuff, including one of the bees is like just saying, "You shall not pass."
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, and then like there's the Wizard of Oz thing with like the fucking hornet where like the squirrel builds a mechanical bee so it becomes the queen.
Yep.
Oh my yeah, this game is it's just a game of moments and like cool like different type. It's like it feels like if this feels like the best non-Nintendo game ever made.
Yeah.
Like it felt like
Really, it
a
does.
very good like it reminded me of like a 3D Mario where like so many Mario games like have like 8 or 9 really cool, well-made, uh, different game features. Where
Right.
most games would just build a game around that feature, and then like sometimes I don't want to be fucking Rock Mario, and sometimes I don't want to fucking I don't want to skate on these rails forever. But like okay, cool. Well, there's 8 other moments in this game where you like 8 other things you're gonna be doing. Like sometimes you're gonna be a hammer, or you got a hammer on you, or you're gonna throw nails, or you can fucking you're fighting like you're in the garden and you're fighting or like you have a flamethrower and you use to kill bees and shit. Like, it was there like or you can play music and shit. Like there's so many cool different areas, and like the stupid side games we'd find like the whack-a-mole
Oh my
and
god.
like playing chess. What's the fucking we're pulling the rope. Like mash the square button
Oh
over and over
my
again.
god, one of
Test your
those
strength one.
test your strength ones, the whole
God,
fucking tug of
God.
war shit, like
Tug of war,
the
yeah.
whole battles between you and I in terms
I've
of
gotten
that.
Gable's beat me in everything else, but I beat him in chess. I am the king of arm wrestling and tug of war. Those are my so far everything else he whooped my ass in, but I've got those 3 for me.
Use your precision.
Also Connect 4, Gable's undefeated. God damn. But man, what a this game was incredible. I had and it's like it's always playing games with your friends always way more fun. But like how it works together and like how like you really can't like you have to play this game with somebody.
Yep.
And like it's understandable. So like A Way Out blew me away. Like we never been a game like that before, and it was incredible.
Yes.
And like kind of like what I was just saying with Akina, where like that was like A Way Out was like a very good 7.5, and it's like man, if they can just fucking fix these little things, this game will be phenomenal and like an all timer. And bam, here we are with It Takes Two. It's gonna be one of those. I think one of those games where like we're gonna be talking about that for a very long time.
Oh
like,
yeah.
on this podcast because it's incredible. It was like it won at the Game Awards, and both of us were like, didn't even like. No, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like
Absolutely,
I don't.
did.
I don't. Yeah. Like I think if anybody's played this game, you can't argue it. Like I just like if you there's probably a lot of people that haven't played it because you got to play with somebody else. But man, like, this game phenomenal. Like the one I think issue was like like there's parts where it dragged and maybe it went on a little too long. Like you're talking about,
Right.
like there's that space section. There's like the section where you're under the tree and all of a sudden jellyfish show up for some reason.
Oh
Like
god, yeah.
there's some definitely some weird areas in that game where it's like what's this? But like that's it. Like and like some of these like it's not like there might be like that one like I don't want to be Rock Mario or something, or I don't want to do this certain thing. Like I'm not enjoying this one power in this area, but like it was never like too long. Like every 45
Right.
minutes to an hour, boom, you're in a new area doing something different. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Oh man, but yeah, it's just what I was saying. It's like definitely different moments and stuff, the different boss battles, the different like set pieces and stuff, and then subsequently finding throughout the story how much terrible human beings both parents are and stuff with harassing their daughter to that point. The whole like dismemberment of the elephant, the whole like sucking out the eyes of the vacuum cleaner, the whole like freaking attacking the squirrels and all the other shit. the whole Hadouken, just like the
Yeah. Oh
game
yeah,
of
well, I did the fucking Hadouken. Yeah.
yeah, you did a fucking Hadouken and stuff with a squirrel right on top of the plane, and all that. The experience is like, oh really? Oh god, why am I flying the plane?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Just
Oh
like and working together to solve the puzzles, like especially like probably my favorite area of like the like with the powers was like being in have are you I think you were throwing the nails and I had the hammer, and we had to work
yep,
together and like putting out the platforms, and like we had to time it and figure out the
yep.
puzzles, like just working together and figuring those things out. Um, and it's like never like overly hard really, but
No,
like there's like that one area we got frustrated in, but other than that, like it was yeah, like it was never got like those puzzles were like whenever like what the fuck do we gotta do here, like, but yeah, I'm like it was, man, what a what a fucking game,
it was
Gables.
a fucking game.
God damn, man, I can't wait for the next one. So it's been like 2018 was a way out. This was 3 years later. I know that's not how games work. I hope I can't wait for 2024 for the next one, if that in fact is when it comes out, because whatever Joseph Ferris makes next, I think Gables and I are all in.
It could be to like two penguins or something like that fighting over a fish, and we probably would play it.
It could be a 6-hour arm wrestling contest, Gables, and I'm fucking. I got mashed. We got both mashed the square button for 6 straight
Let's
hours. I'll
see who
fucking.
gets carpal tunnel
I
first.
who the first one to have a fucking aneurysm and dies loses. That's how the game's gonna play out. It'll be me. Uh, I'll lost the war but won the battle. Yeah. God. All right. Well, anything else you want to say before we go to
No,
number two?
we're good.
Okay. Well, our first time ever in 9 years, Gables and I have the same game with the same number. Uh, closest we ever been was when we had Untitled Goose Game. I had it. Gables had 3 and I had it 2. So
All
all right.
right.
Well, moving on here, Gables, to our number 2. Give me your number 2, buddy.
All right, number two was Dodgeball Academia.
All righty then.
Well, the thing about Dodgeball Academia, it merged three different types of games that I absolutely loved growing. I actually absolutely loved growing up playing. On top of that, it was definitely a fun concept in terms of simplistic game design. On top of that, fun, memorable characters. It had a distinct mix of being partly Pokemon, partly Paper Mario, and partly like a fun, like sort of stereotypical, sort of like an anime show in and of itself. Like the whole like concepts, the whole different types of things. Just the art style in and of itself was fairly catching. But I'll tell you what, it was definitely fun constructing your team of three and like getting a bunch of different characters later on in the game, like with Sunico and then like, that one bully and stuff that was just basically dude that used his health in order to heal the party and stuff. But it was definitely fun to play just random games of dodgeball, sort of like you were doing battles in Paper Mario, to where you have a whole set top of the whole court and stuff. Where you get to just eliminate a bunch of different like ones or tag in like different ones with your partners or something like that. If they were knocked out, they could provide support still and do this and that. It was definitely a fun experience. I thought that the characters were fairly fun. I thought that going and discovering later on and stuff that you can go through this specific sort of like gauntlet and stuff to where you can maximize certain like money, certain this and that, get like a whole bunch of different things. It was one of the rare times where I actually completed the 100% of the achievement list inside of an X game I was playing on
Mm-hmm.
Xbox because it was that fun. But yeah, the thing about Dodgeball Academia that made it the most interesting and stuff was it kept me wanting to come back and just start playing through the next area because I wanted to see what the next set of characters, what the new characters would do. I want to see how things tied into like specific story sets and stuff, like the baby balls and stuff, and like the baby like the dodgeballs and stuff that
Mm-hmm.
they're so erratic and stuff. And then it like reveals inside one of the stories or something like that your rival wants to like eat like the things that are produced by the baby like erratic like ones and stuff, and it's like in a terms like with mix it up to like a coffee or some shit, and he's like, ew, you want to drink that? Oh, just like little fun like juvenile sort of things and stuff, but it was very charming, and it was one of the few games where I felt like I wanted to replay in the middle of the fucking year because it was that impactful. I mean, it was that. It was also Halo Infinite and stuff that also gave me that sort of feeling as well. But yeah, that definitely was a fantastic experience. So that's why it's my number two.
Well, very nice, Gables. All right, well, moving on to my number two, Gables. It is. I heard someone call this the Doom 2016 of 2021 for the game that no one thought they'd care about and then everybody cared about.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Game that had been rumored forever was announced at E3 and immediately became our game of the show.
Yep.
Both of us that year, or this past year, I guess. Um, and I think we were like hopeful, but I think we were like both thinking, like best case, this is like maybe an 8.
Yeah.
Like, but this could very easily be a 5 because like you're very much doing the Guardians of the Galaxy the movie thing where like okay you're tying in with the music, the comedy and everything like that, and it's like it came out and it's just like it was a tall task I had to live up to, and it met it and it blew it away from what my expectations were. Like I said, I was like best case this is an 8, blew past that. This game, the dialogue, the characters, like they've made everybody feel like their own. Like even like the Telltale one was I thought was very good, but they did a good job of making it feel like its own thing, but was nowhere near as good as what this was. Like the worlds and the environments, going to nowhere, going to all these different planets. Like the backstory with
Mm.
Star Lord were awesome and phenomenal. Um, Man, just like the interactions on the ship, where I would just stand there and listen to them talk because
Mm.
eventually they like yell back and forth at each other. Like Rocket was probably my favorite character in the game, but it's hard to even say because like they're all great. But like you had Cosmos the dog, fucking he was awesome. Um, I just loved all of it. Like the main like the some of the villains were awesome. It's just man, this game like it's so hard to like do comedy in video games. Like very rarely, like you might get a joke in there every now and again. That's funny, but then this game regularly had me laughing. Like just like even like the dialogue, while you're like fighting was awesome. And like doing like the huddle up and then like fucking like huddle up, you say all the right things and then you get the power ups and the combat and you're just like hit me with your best shots playing and you're just wrecking shit. Um, Man, like I had a blast. I could not just one of those games like when you look back, it's like you think about like what are some of the like some of the games, the best games are the ones that you just can't quit playing, and this is
Yep.
one of them. Where I look at my
Absolutely.
list here, it's like all of these games, I just couldn't like Deathloop. I beat in 3 days. House of Ashes I beat in 2 days. Um, Dodgeball Academia I beat in a weekend. Death Story I beat in 3 days. Haven I beat in one sitting. Resident Evil 8 I beat in a weekend. It Takes Two I beat with you in 3 different nights.
Yep.
Uh, uh, in this game I beat in like over 4 or 5 days. But it was like that was because I was doing everything, exploring everything, couldn't stop maxing out everything. Just had a blast. Like the one thing that maybe isn't like top notch is the combat because it was very much like it's very good, it's fun, but it doesn't like ever really expand. I feel like all the best stuff, all the best like uh, power attacks you can do with all your side characters and with your character are like the first one you get. It's very much Final Fantasy VII Remake light, but it's totally fine because Final Fantasy VII Remake was my number 2 game of the year last year, and this is also my number 2 game of the year. So maybe I just really like that fighting system. I don't know, but it was just man, blew me away. I cannot believe how great this game was. Yeah, so that's my number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Gables, give me number 1.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I knew it. I thought you were gonna say it was your number 2, and I was gonna laugh if we both had the same number 2. So go ahead, buddy. Tell me all about it.
Well, picture this. Extra Life starts, and you have one game or something you want to start with. And for me, I decided to crack open Guardians of the Galaxy and proceed to play 16 hours of that game inside of the span of that whole terrain. I have never done that before for any game across the entirety of playing video games. I've never actually have done that during Extra Life to where I stuck with one game for the predominant thing of the whole 24 hours stuff. I
What about
literally,
Resident Evil 6?
oh, Well, not 16 hours worth because I would have
It felt
literally.
like it.
It felt like it. Yes, it did. Absolutely, it did. I think after the after the main last mission with the Chris campaign, I think we were just ready to go forth and just say no,
Never
fuck
been
this
so angry during actual life in my life.
shit.
Go
Oh
ahead though.
my
I'm
god,
sorry.
yes. But this game did something that I haven't felt in a while, to where I played that game so much, I literally felt like it was minutes playing this game in certain
Yeah.
portions. The
Yeah.
characters, the interaction between the characters felt so organic, so lifelike in regards to the commentary between that. Listen to their conversations, going through and upgrading your inventory and stuff for combat elements and stuff. I thought the combat was okay. It wasn't like, say, it wasn't like really as evolved like you were mentioned, but at the same time, I thought it was fun enough to where I didn't really have too much issues with it. It wasn't broken in any way, in my opinion. But I loved the story elements of this game. I loved how you could immediately walk around your ship, talk with a bunch of your like crewmates and stuff, switch the radio anytime to like different type of songs from the 1980s and stuff. So that's the thing. I love the soundtrack just from the get go because there's a lot of familiar songs and stuff like that, and like a whole bunch of
Yeah.
backstory for Star Lord. And this is my first exposure to Guardians of the Galaxy as a whole, going into it, to where it's like I've known about Guardians of the Galaxy. I know that there's been two movies that were released by Disney Marvel in that regards from that whole like Marvel's MCU, but I never really had a chance just to go forth and sit down and experience it. And so an Extra Life rolled around, popped it into my PS5, started playing that, and I was immediately hooked. I was hooked. I have most of the trophies now. I could potentially go back and do a platinum, get a platinum in that damn game, which damn well fucking deserves it in my honest opinion. But it's unlike what I had with specific other games, like with Halo Infinite, with It Takes Two, with Dodgeball Academia. There was just specific moments inside that game I absolutely loved. Like some of like the early ones where you're just going through and figuring out like try to explore the first main world, and all of a sudden you have to cross a bridge, right? And then you have to make that decision. It's like, okay, let's go ahead and find another way to get across here, or just just touch rocket and stuff like that across the bridge. And
Fucking just
would you
chucked
know
him.
that, just chucked him and just have fucking Drax just like chuck him across there, and he got so fucking
So
angry.
fucking pissed. Oh man. I forget. Yeah, that's something like that's a good point. Like just like being able to like make some decisions here and there and just like yeah are just great. I love
My
those
God, it
too.
was so hilarious, and he remembered that throughout the entire playthrough too.
No, he brings it up later. Yeah.
And then the moment, and yeah, going into spoiler territories and that this game, it's like the whole thing that you had a choice between handing over the llama or handing over your weapons and stuff like that, the illegal weapons. And so I just went through, I just handed over the fucking weapons, and I got like maybe 1,000 less than what you
Yeah.
did in terms of like.
That was something cool. Yeah, because you were playing it during Extra Life when I was talking to you,
Yes.
and it was funny like learning like the different decisions that we made. Like you turned in the weapons. I let them know about the llama, but I got to keep the llama and the weapons. But my fine was more, which didn't ultimately matter. But I got to keep the weapons that made some of the fights later on in the game easier.
Right. And so, like Gable's fashion, I do the hard thing. And I go through that entire last portion of the section and stuff, which wasn't bad, the whole like the whole fighting, the whole dogfight type of thing, sort of a la like Star Fox or like Star Wars, Rogue Squadron esque and stuff, where you're going across and just defeating a whole bunch of different enemy fleets and stuff. But oh my gosh, just towards the end of that game, the whole twist at the end of the game and stuff, where you feel like you've finally beaten the final boss, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden you get to go across the actual final boss, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
Because I remember you were like because I beat it on during Extra Life too, but you were like 4 or 5 hours away from it,
Yeah.
and I went, oh fuck, and you're like what? I'm like nothing. Don't worry about it.
I remember that exact moment. It's like, okay, what the fuck happened? It's like, oh, nothing, nothing.
Yeah,
And then
don't
all of
worry
a sudden
about
I
it.
get to
Don't
that
worry.
scene, it clicked to me. It's like, oh, for God's sake. Yep.
Yeah.
But I did a
Great,
thing where I
great.
played so many hours of that game that night, and then I took a day off, and then I took like another day or two just to finish the rest of it because I wanted to kind of prolong it so that I could go and just finish it up in my own pace after that, because I knew I only had like a couple of hours left inside the game anyway. But yeah, the whole feeling that you get when you're in a big old battle and stuff, and you gather your crew up and stuff, and all of a sudden one of the biggest random like music or something just blares and stuff where you're overpowered and stuff and doing a lot of team attacks like Bonnie Tyler's like I Need a Hero and that one last section of the game. It was so fucking awesome and
Mm-hmm.
made me want to keep on going and doing it. It's like it's one of those gaming moments where you're just standing on it and it's like, oh yeah, come on, get this fucking thing going. Like you just really get absorbed into it. But yeah, that's my number one game of 2021, and it's Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right, Gills, that's awesome. So, all right. It's funny though, like 5 through 10 for us, we had nothing in common,
Mm-hmm.
and then 4 through 1, we've had four in common. So, um, all right. Well, moving on to my number one. I talked about when I was making these lists, and I started like you gotta start nitpicking to like make that divider. And every single game I had a flaw, like I talked about, like, uh, House of Ashes, not as good as Until Dawn, but it's a good step closer. Deathloop, with the story being kind of stuck in there. Plus, I'm not the biggest fan of those roguelikes. Halo Infinite story, and then the main missions were my least favorite part of the game. Dodgeball Academia dragged on too long. Death Store, Ice Area, Haven grinded too early in the beginning and it kind of burnt me out a little bit at the end. Resident Evil 8, that last hour, It Takes Two dragged at certain points. Uh, uh, Guardians of the Galaxy combat wasn't the greatest, but not bad. But this one, my number one, I got nothing. This is, for what it is, a perfect game. Um, it is Life is Strange Two Colors.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Was not expecting
So
this to be number one, but wow.
and I didn't either. But once I sat down and started thinking about it, it was just like it's got to be, because I got nothing to complain about. And it's like, um, I've said this, several times that this may not be, like the all-time great year, but like, yeah, when I got to like this final five, that was like the divider for me. Like, okay, there's this and everything else, and then when I started breaking down those final five, that was like, this has got to be number one because I got nothing to complain about. It had so much to love to. I was not expecting going into this. Like, I was just hoping that it would just be, better than Life is Strange 2 because Life is Strange 2 was really good, but it wasn't did not reach the levels of one
Right.
or Before the Storm, which is my favorite. In Deck Nine, this is their first one they've had to make from the ground up. And this is also in a brand new engine. They made Before the Storm before that, but it was a prequel to Life is Strange 1, which they did not make. So we already kind of knew the stories, but it was my of the original, the first three. It was my favorite of the first three, and now this is my favorite of the four. Um, but like Life is Strange has a high bar for me because I always thought about Life is Strange 1 is the best combination of characters in the game ever, where everybody mattered. Everybody had like even like some of the side characters. Like I love learning about them, and this, like I said, they had a high bar to hit, and it did it. Where like you have Alex, you play as yourself. She's, um, you know, uh, she just turned 18 or just turned 21 rather. Or I think she was 21 because she was drinking in the game. I'm assuming she was 21 then. But her and her brother Gabe, no relations to you,
Mm-hmm.
um, got separated in foster care, and Gabe's been trying to find her forever, and then finally they gets contact with her and moves. She comes to this town, Haven, that little small town in the mountains in Colorado, and they finally meet. And you like learn about her, but what you learn about um, the relationship, what happened with them in the past and all that, and then how they got separated and where they are now. But what was cool is like in the other games, or at least in Life Strange 1 and 2, you start the game and they're normal people, and then that's when you start the game, and then that's when you get the powers. And this, Alex has always had the powers. So Sherry knows what it is, and and like you're learning, but she's learning new things about it, and she's also like you're learning about all the problems these powers have caused her in her life, and she's trying to suppress them and like dealing with them. And that was really cool. Like she's had 15 years or so of like dealing with this and struggling with this, and it's so heartbreaking some of the things you learn about in her past about what happened. But like I was saying with the characters though, like you had Steph, who was actually in uh, Before the Storm, which
Mm-hmm.
that's how it ties in with this one, where like she's now in there. She runs the record store and the radio station. She's like your best friend in this game. Gabe, who I mentioned, the brother. Jade, who owns the bar, and also Alex lives above in the apartment above the bar. He is phenomenal. I loved him immediately. Charlotte, who is Gabe's, I think not fiance, but girlfriend. They might have been fiance. I can't remember. Uh, but like Gabe dies in the first episode. It's not a spoiler. It was in the original trailers for this game. And then her dealing with that pain and and then they had like Riley, who she was wanting to go off to college and leave this town, but her grandma uh, has Alzheimer's, and like there's like so many different things that can play out with that, and like dealing with that, and like trying, she wants to do better things, but also she's stuck here dealing with her grandma and then running this flower shop. Ducky, who's the old man who like his wife passed away years ago. Now he just hangs out in the bar, and just learning about him and like delving back into his past and just talking more and more to him. And Ethan, who is Gabe's stepson. Well, it was his girlfriend's son, but stepson basically. But all those characters were just phenomenal. I love the game was still broken. It all came out in once, which is perfect because I just episodic stuff just needs to end. Just like you can have the
I
episodes, but
agree.
release it all in one go. Like this is the way to do it now. And that's why I hope getting off track here. Hope Telltale, please do that. But like what's great about this is that like it's not just like it's not so much on rails anymore. We're like in Life Strange, like okay, cool. Like you might be in the school in this area, but you can walk that hallway, and that's all you can do. This like you can actually walk like this block in every chapter, um, and like there's so many side things, like incredible things that you can miss that are like so impactful. And there's not like a lot of side stuff, but like everything that you could do and like explore and learn about, like read newspapers, find notes, listen to people's conversations, talk to a character in the game, like it all meant something and all was really good. Whereas in like so there's so many other games like looking at Ubisoft where there's just like a bunch of filler in there, and it's like it doesn't really mean anything, doesn't do anything, doesn't advance anything. It's just there to be there. But like just I would every chapter, every time I went to a different area in every chapter, I would explore every square inch to make sure I didn't miss anything. I platinumed this game, by the way. I found
Nice.
all the collectibles. I found everything in this game. I could not I just had to find everything. I'd make sure I found every fucking note, talked to every character, overheard every conversation. There's like it's cool. You have your phone and you can like read text messages in between. Like there's always like a little jump in time. Could be a couple days, could be a couple weeks, in between each episode. And like I would go back and you can like look at all the conversations with each character in the text messages. And then like there's also like I don't know like basically like a town Reddit kind of thing in a way where like and you can read like people's posts they put on there. You can read all the conversations in there, like learning about like this Typhoon, which is like the company that basically like everybody works for that like works like in the mines. Um, but like I said, like I explored every square inch. I talked to everybody. I want to do everything in this game. Um, and like I said, there's not a lot to do, but when you can, what is there is amazing. Some of my favorite moments in gaming this year happened. So minor spoilers. So there's like in episode 3, so like Ethan, who's the son, like the stepson I was talking about, he's like really upset about, he's blaming himself about Gabe's death. Um, so the whole town gets together. 'Cause he's a huge fantasy fan. He writes his own comic books. They do like decide to just do a whole LARPing scenario for him, in one of the episodes to make him feel better.
Hmm.
I did it. I've done this twice while reviewing the game. I did it again. Alex's powers is I told my friends about Alex's powers where she can feel other people's emotions, and if the emotions are strong enough, she also feels that that emotion. So like if somebody's angry, she can kind of in a way like kind of sort of read the character's mind and understand what they're angry about. But if it becomes strong enough, it makes her angry. So stuff like that. But like you well, like going back to this now, where like Ethan's sad, so that the whole town gets together, they build all these awesome sets, and the game just turns into a fucking JRPG. Where you're doing turn-based fighting in this fucking game, like it's just so many cool little moments like that, like and like you're trying to make it feel better, so like you're Alex and Ethan are like fighting people, and there's like actual like a fucking boss fight, and there's random battles you can find. Um, then there's one of the first things you do in like the game is like you Gabe takes Alex to his apartment, which ends up turning into Alex's apartment. um, and they listen to like the one of the most important things to Life is Strange is the music. The music is always incredible. They get these incredible indie artists, and they just it's an amazing soundtrack. I always talk about like I have like a handful of games I go back to constantly and listen to the soundtrack. And Life is Strange, all of them are on that, and this one is just on there too. And they like one of the cool first things you do is like you put on Kings of Leon, which is one of my favorite bands,
Uh-huh.
and they start just doing an air guitar thing. It sounds stupid when I say it, but like when you're in the game playing it, it's like it's awesome, it's fun. I'm having a big old fucking smile on my face the whole time. There's a part where like Alex and Steph are at a spring festival, and they surprise Alex, and like because Alex plays the guitar and could sing a little bit, and Steph could play the drums, and like they go on stage and play for the first time together on the stage in front of the whole town, and that was like just one of the most heartwarming moments of the game for me. Um, the entirety of Chapter 5, learning when you finally learn the whole backstory and the big twist and everything like that, and like the ending is utterly heartbreaking and beautiful, all at the same time. Like I talked about like Last was Part Two last year, where I was playing that with Ellie. Like like she was angry and wanted revenge, and that entire first half of the game, I was also angry and I felt her anger, and I wanted I wanted to murder everybody, and this had that, not to that extent of murder, but like when Alex felt those other people's those characters' emotions, like I would you make you they did such a great job making you feel them too, and like understanding it or learning about it and all that. Like there's this game like pulled me in every like there'd be times where I'm laughing, I got a big fucking smile ear to ear on my face, I'm crying, I'm angry, like I felt all the emotions she was feeling, I was feeling it too. Like they transferred her powers to me via the controller, and I felt them all. Yeah, like no point did this game did I want this game to be over. Like I couldn't quit playing it, and I wanted to keep playing it, but I didn't want it to end. One of those things where like I so many games on this list, I'm talking about they drag at points. No point in this. Whereas I'm like, oh, come on, I want to hurry up and get to the end. Like I said, I every square inch, everything I can learn, I wanted to learn. I loved it. Haven the Town, it's just one block, but it feels like a whole city of like it just feels like a GTA 5, but it's in one square block, and it's phenomenal. Um, I am blown away by what Deck Nine has done with this game. Um, I yeah, I when like I said, when they announced this game, I was super hopeful that this game would just be good and just be better than Life is Strange 2 and Life is Strange 2, sorry. Um, and it was so much more. This is a perfect game. This is a 10 out of 10. This is my game of the year, Life is Strange 2 Colors. So, yeah,
Very
Gables,
nice.
yeah, that is our list. So real fast, I'll just do a quick recap for our list here. Starting with Gables here, number 10, Astro's Playroom, number 8, Cyber Shadows, I'm sorry, number 9, Cyber Shadows, number 8, Bugsnax, number 7, Pokemon BDSM, number 6, Metroid Dread, number 5, New Pokemon Snap, number 4, Halo Infinite, number 3, It Takes Two, number 2, Dodgeball Academia, number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy, mine top 10, number 10, House of Ashes, number 9, Deathloop, number 8, Halo Infinite, number 7, Dodgeball Academia, number 6, Death's Door, number 5, Haven, number 4, Resident Evil Village, number 3, It Takes Two, number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, number 1, Life is Strange, True Colors, and then here, Gables, we have our winner for Drunk Nerds Game of the Year.
Mm.
So we had 4 games in common:
Yep.
Halo Infinite, It Takes Two, Dodgeball Academia, Guardians of the Galaxy. So we have a top 5 here.
Yep.
So the way it works out, is if say you're number 1, you get 1, or you're number 10, you get 1 point. If you're number 1, you get 10 points, and then it works its way down from there. So at number 5 with 10 points, it's because it's my game of the year, Life is Strange 2 Color. Number 4 had the same amount of points, had 10 points, but it's on both of our lists, so I'm giving it number 4. Halo Infinite. Number 3 with 13 points, Dodgeball Academia. Number 2 with 16 points, It Takes Two. And number 1 with 19 points, because it's your number 1 and it's my number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Jeez, man.
So that, my friends, is our 2021 Games of the Year. So thank you guys so much for listening to this. I hope you guys like that. I hope we didn't spoil it too much because there was 16 different games here we mentioned that are all phenomenal, and you should play them all if you haven't already. I hope you guys like this. If you guys want, we'll be back for you guys next week with a normal show. For us, it'll be 2 weeks. So Gables and I will have a Saturday off again from recording. Don't know what we're gonna know what we're gonna do. Who knows what we're gonna do? Should be It's gonna be weird. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. If you like all that, please like, follow, share, subscribe. We're on everything: iTunes, Spotify. Spotify now you can give reviews. So please go on there, give us a review. Like I said, iTunes, Anchor, anywhere podcasts are on, we're on them. Everyone I can find, I put us on there. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all those places. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Shares big one. Tell your friends. The more you do that, the better it helps us out. Retweet us, all that fun jazz. Um, but thank you guys once again for listening to us this year. Well, I guess it's 2022 now, but you know what I mean. But I was Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, play some fucking video games and have yourself a fun time. Life is too short to be bitter and angry all the time.
Mm-hmm. Bye, guys.
See ya.